Hey everyone, Sumo Spiffy here. Welcome to my brain catching up with the work I'm trying to do. I finally realized instead of going through all the process of editing together the graphic stuff for a video on who the best fantasy picks are, why don't I just use the tier maker tool? Everyone else does it that does something like this, it does rankings. What the hell has taken me so long to figure this out? I don't know, but we're going to go through all 42 guys in Makuuchi. I got them lined up by rank. Let's just get into this. Number 1, Terunofuji, S tier. Obviously, pretty much all Yokozuna should be S tier. You'd expect them to be. Maybe if there's multiple Yokozuna, you would end up with something different. But Terunofuji is the best. He is the man right now. He should win another Yusho, barring something surprising happening. He is the most obvious S tier pick there is. Ozeki. Kirishima at A and Takanosho at B. All right, what's my thinking here? Kirishima is the better guy right now. So even if you think that Takanosho is better than Kirishima, if you have the best version of Takanosho and the best version of Kirishima fighting in a basho, Takanosho is not that guy right now. He's a lot farther from his peak than Kirishima is. So Kirishima, I mean, he was getting double-digit wins over and over as Sekiwake. I don't think there's any reason to expect that's going to change as an Ozeki. Takanosho's body might betray him. So Kirishima is definitely the more reliable pick, and even a strong Takanosho might not keep up with him. So Kirishima to A, Takanosho to B. If you have to pick an Ozeki specifically, and you're not playing a game that has Yokozuna and Ozeki combined, definitely Kirishima is your guy. Sekiwake. So we got 3 guys here, and I think for me, it's going to be Hoshoryu, and then Daishoho and Wakamoto Haru. Now, I think you could very reasonably, in fact, just to be fair to these guys, I'm going to put them all at A. I think Hoshoryu is going to have the best tournament. I don't have a reason for thinking that other than he always seems to be working at a slightly higher level. Even in the tournaments where he ends up with maybe 1 win less than the other guys, he seems to have the highest ceiling he has for a while. Daishoho is probably second on that list. Wakamoto Haru, a very, very, very close third. But if you've got a different preference of these 3 guys, there's really not a wrong answer. Follow your heart, pick the guy you like the best. I'm going to go with Hoshoryu for this, though. The Komusubi. I think these guys are both B picks. So for a lot of games, Sekiwake and Komusubi are combined, and the Sekiwake are all better picks. Kota no Waka has been so consistently an 8-win guy, maybe 9, as a Komusubi or Hai Maegashira, but he hasn't really shown that he's ready to take that step and go beyond that. Abi is better than he sometimes seems to be at this level, but maybe not by that much. I mean, he went 8-7 at Maegashira 1, so he got his promotion here. But is he going to get 8 wins again? Is he going to get 7 wins again? I do expect him to have a winning record. He might not. I think he should be properly viewed as a B-level pick. But if you would think of him as C, given my labels on the left there, that C is Kachikoshi is only reasonably possible, that's totally fair. I have him at B, but Kota no Waka, I think, is definitely the safer choice of these 2. Nishikigi, D tier. I realize he had a really good basho last time, but I've talked about the reliability of head-to-head records and that it isn't that reliable. The one thing that does seem reliable and that has remained reliable in my observation is that if a guy has a bad record lifetime against a lot of his opponents, he's probably not going to do that well. It's very surprising if somebody gets a lot of wins against guys he has traditionally not done that well against. When Nishikigi went on his run at the end of last basho, got those 8 wins in a row to finish, 6 of those were against guys who he had lifetime losing records against. That was wild. That's the kind of thing that doesn't happen. Now, I think we're looking at another Sadanoumi where he's having a late career resurgence. I'm not saying it's a complete illusion, but he's not going to do that again. And our predicted first 10 fights for him, or predicted 10 fights for him, is all losing records. Every single one is a losing record. He's probably going to struggle early. That might take away some of the more difficult matchups that he's lined up for, but if he ends up with an 8-7 record, I'm going to be absolutely astonished. I think he has improved enough to get to, 6 wins, 7 wins. I think that's as high as he gets, though. Tobizaru, easy C tier. As long as he's in the Joy, Lower Sanyaku, he's going to keep getting 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, and just keep bouncing around. This is his life now. If you're a Flying Monkey fan, just enjoy the ride. Shodai, C tier. A KK is reasonably possible. A Kachikoshi is absolutely possible. He showed that in the Basho previously. I think at High Maegashira, this is where he's going to be most likely to excel. 10 wins is probably pushing it, at least as an expectation. Now, do we put him at B tier, though? Does he have a 10-win ceiling? I think the Sanyaku is too strong. I don't think he has a 10-win ceiling. It would be very surprising if he got there, but a winning record, absolutely. And here's the main reason why. He was 6-6 last Basho, and then he got Nishikigi, Asanoyama, and I think Tsurugisho, 3 guys who were all doing really well. The Sanyaku, even down to the bottom, they're the testing ground for the lower ranked guys. That's how they're treated. That's how they're used. When he's outside of that role, his schedule will more precisely fit how he's actually performing, how he's actually doing. So if he struggles, he's going to get easier matchups more readily and pick it up and catch up. If he starts out strong, yeah, his matchups are going to get hard, but he started strong. He's still probably going to finish with a winning record. So C tier. Mitakeumi, B tier injury risk. He's one of the guys that I made this for. He looked pretty okay last Basho. Now, his competition level was not that high. He had a pretty nice win against Daishoho, though. That did not look bad. So he was an Ozeki for a reason. Let's just be straight about that. A lot of people are like, he's so disappointing. I wish he had done so much better. He was hurt. We know he was hurt. So the question is, did he succeed last Basho because he had an injury and this is going to be a chronic injury and is going to follow him forever, but the competition level was low enough that he was able to succeed despite that? Or is he starting to heal? If he's starting to heal, he might be able to pick it back up and get back. I mean, maybe he'll never be an Ozeki again, but I think he can compete at this level when healthy. So he's B tier if he's healthy. Otherwise, C, arguably D, but probably C. Midorifuji, D tier. I know a lot of people love this guy. I have a lot of fun watching him. In March, he just took it to everybody. That's how he started 10-0. He was just running at everybody's face. Now, those guys weren't in the Sanyaku, and that's where he's going to be starting his matchups in this one. But more to the point, even though he's shown the ability to compete against some of the best, he hasn't shown the ability to win consistently against them. And this is important. Because he's a smaller guy, he's always going to be at some kind of a physical disadvantage. The bigger guys, the more athletic guys, the guys who should be able to overpower him or just beat him on pure strength, all they need to do is see him enough to figure him out. Now, that doesn't mean, once they figure him out, he'll never win again, but it's going to get harder and harder. At Maegashira 3 East, he's seeing the whole damn Sanyaku, which means he is probably going to get his ass beat. I do think that it's more likely now that he started to see these guys more than it was in the past when I thought he was going to lose and then he didn't lose that much. So yeah, D tier. Sorry, Midori fans. Otherwise, if I give it to everybody who's like 40% to go Kachikoshi, the whole, like half the Banzuke is going to be C tier. Meisei, C tier. Now, this one is also arguably C or D. It really depends how you feel about Meisei. Oh, you know what? I just realized he hurt himself. Like, he was struggling at the end of the last Basho. The last time he went into a Basho hurt at Maegashira 3 West, he was 1-14. He's got the whole Sanyaku run. It starts at 4 East, like 4 East and 4 West are the guys who, even though they're in the Joy, technically, there's a good chance they don't fight everyone in the Sanyaku, but 3 West probably will. Unless he's healed completely, which for these guys is usually unlikely, I don't see how he's going to end up with a winning record. I mean, last Basho's run was great, but I don't think he's going to go 1-14 again. But 6-9, 7-8, that seems pretty safe for Meisei this time. Asanoyama, S tier. He's shown weaknesses. The fact that he kept losing matches in Makushita and didn't win a Yusho there on his comeback was surprising, and it showed that he does have some weaknesses in his game. But he's such an overpowering physical presence, like just as a wrestler in a vacuum, A tier, definitely. But when you look at the way fantasy games work, bracket games like Kachi Clash, 1-5. Well, who in 1-5 has a better chance of pulling off 10 wins of being competitive for the Yusho than Asanoyama? 1-4, same thing. If you're playing a game where you can pick, 6 guys from all of Maegashira, what 6 guys are better options than Asanoyama? You can't find that many. He's such a physically dominant wrestler that even though he does show some weaknesses, he should just be able to blast his way to 10 wins. That's what I'm expecting. He could end up with like 9. Maki Koshi is basically unthinkable for him at this point. But yeah, I think 10 wins is a pretty safe assumption for him, and no one else near him on the Banzuke can say that. Ura, my boy, my pinky boy. Oh, yeah, C tier. I was fiddling between him going maybe to D tier, but then it was like, wait a minute, he's at the bottom of the joy. He's almost certainly not going to fight everybody in the Sanyaku. More to the point, if he struggles early, then he may avoid almost all of the Sanyaku, except for Terunofuji. He'll definitely fight him. But if he struggles early, his schedule will get easier, and he'll catch up and probably end up like 8-7. Or if he does well early, then his schedule will get harder, and he'll get knocked back to something like 8-7. 8-7 and 7-8, where he's at, are probably 50-50 options if you just look at those two possibilities. Kachikoshi reasonably possible? Yep. We're in C tier. Hiradoumi. I am not expecting a lot out of him. He seems to have a very clear ceiling on the kind of guys that he can compete against. If he was 4 East and not 5 East, he'd be D tier because he would be getting kicked around by guys just way too high level for him. But right now, I'm actually not sure who to consider too high level for him. And he's going to be fighting down in rank a lot. The guys just outside the Joy, as long as there's not an injury that pushes them into the Joy, they actually end up with a lot of matches usually lower in rank than them. And that's going to work to his advantage. So he should be able to finish with a winning record. But he's another situation where if he does well and his competition level goes up, he's going to start getting spanked. So 9 wins ceiling, 8 wins probably, 7 wins very possibly. C tier for Hiradoumi. Onosho, C, not B injury risk, C tier. Yet again, this guy, he's got enough matchups around him that he has traditionally done okay with, struggled a little bit with. Now, like a guy like Tamawashi, he's 7-6 against him lifetime, but Tamawashi started falling apart last Basho, so I like his odds in that matchup. But how's he going to do against Midorifuji if they fight? I mean, he's never beat him, and Midori is the kind of guy who can very reasonably give him trouble. It's very difficult to see 10 wins in Onosho's future from this spot. He has to get on a major roll. He is very streaky, and if anybody from ranks like 5, 6, 7 is going to kind of go on a snowball into 10 wins, it's probably him. But that shouldn't be expected. Can he get a winning record? Absolutely. He's not going to fight the Sanyaku unless there's injuries or unless he starts doing really well. 8-7, maybe 9-6. That's my expectation here. But a losing record is possible, and 10 wins I think is unlikely. Hokuseiho, old cling and sling, the one-armed wonder. Boy, where do we put this guy? Does he have a 10-win ceiling? That's tough. I really don't know. I think we might end up with another situation where he's got so many guys around him that might be vulnerable because they're not super athletic. but they are, a lot of them are bigger, like Tamawashi. I don't know. I'm calling him C tier because if he couldn't get 10 wins from where he was last Basho, and granted, that's because he was competing, like he was in the hunt for the Yusho, and then he just started getting thrown against everybody that's really, really, really good. Yeah, things could work out in a way where he goes back and forth, but he's doing well, just not well enough to get an upgrade in competition. That could lead to 10 wins. That's not impossible, but I think we're looking at maybe 75-25 Kachikochi, Machikoshi. You know what I'm saying? And 10 wins would require just the right lineup for him to get there. Oho, D tier. We saw what happened the last time this guy got up anywhere near this level, and that was only Maegashira 8. He's gonna get run over unless he decides that he actually knows how to do sumo. I'll believe it when I see it. D tier until proven otherwise. Takayasu, S tier. Like Asanoyama, I think realistically in a vacuum, he's A tier. But like Asanoyama, look at the way fantasy games work. 5 through 10 or 6 through 10 brackets, ranks 6 through 10. If you have to pick one guy from there, who is a better pick than Takayasu, except for maybe Nishikifuji, right? And Nishikifuji is really more reliable than a good pick. Also, I have the injury risk thing for rank A, and I thought about putting him there, but I don't think he's gonna really be an injury risk at these mid ranks. A guy like Takayasu has been doing this for so long that he's got to be hurt all the time. He knows the limits of his body. So when he gets hurt and it's going to be dangerous for him to fight against high level guys, he's like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to sit. When he's in pain, which he has to be, when he's at, Maegashira 7 fighting these mid rank guys, he knows they're not going to stress his body as much and he can continue to compete. I'm not saying he's going to go for another Yusho, but last time he was down here, he got 10-5. I see no reason not to expect the same thing. And he's definitely the best option in his bracket range. And like Asanoyama, are you going to find 6 guys more likely to do well than him? I'd love to know who they are. Tamawashi, C tier, but this might be a friendly ranking. He went 7-8. I thought he was going to do better. I thought he was going to be one of the guys who, he got kicked out of the Joy. The top level competition isn't there. He should do pretty well. He should at least be able to go 8-9 wins. That's what Mitakeumi did. That's not what he did. He might finally be breaking down. I think it's going to be slow, and I don't think he's going to just fall to pieces all of a sudden, but he may not find the footing to get back up into those top 2-3 Maegashira ranks again. He also might. It could be that he was hurting more last Basho, and I just don't know about it because they don't talk about these things very often. It's really hard to say. I would expect him to sit in that 7-8 win range wherever he is for pretty much now until the end of his career. Could he get a winning record? Sure. Will he? I have no idea. Sadanoumi, C tier. Same thing. He's proven himself capable of getting enough wins at this point in the Banzuke that he's absolutely capable of finding a winning record, but that by no means he's going to do it. So C tier. Nishikifuji, A tier with an injury risk. I don't know of a particular injury that Nishikifuji suffered. This is more of a how the hell did he go 3-12 kind of thing. He's been up in the top levels in the Joy twice. He's gotten 4 wins and 3 wins. He's looked really, really bad. But last Basho, he didn't look right. I mean, that's a very vague way of stating it. He could be as healthy as ever, and he just sucks against those guys. It could have been that his game was thrown off, go back to the drawing board, get it back together. Now that he's back at Maegashira 8, he's going to kick some ass. He's done well at these mid ranks, though. And if you really, really don't trust Takayasu in those mid ranks in that middle bracket, I think Nishikifuji is the best choice. Takanosho, much like Tamawashi, much like Sadanoumi, he has proven enough to say, yeah, he absolutely can get a winning record at Maegashira 9, but he's also shown enough to say he might not. So he is as C tier as it gets. Hokutofuji, C tier, but this is another one that might be lingering towards D tier. His wins last Basho were not great, and he only had 6 of them. The main benefit is that 4 of those wins were against guys he should fight again this Basho. So that's a positive. A lot of those losses were against guys he should not see again. He might fight further down the ranks and get a little bit of weaker opposition, but then again, he might just get Gonoyama. It's hard to say. Again, this guy, anywhere from 6 to 9 wins would not be surprising. Kinbozan, he's not going to go 11-4 again. It's his neck injury. I should have put in an injury risk for C. In fact, here's the thing. He is B tier at Maegashira 10. He absolutely has a 10-win ceiling. We just saw him a couple Bashos ago get 11 wins from slightly lower down the chain. He can get 10 wins here if he's healthy. But we know he had a neck injury. We know it impacted his ability to train. If that hasn't resolved itself, then we cannot expect him to be B tier. Probably he's still C tier. Probably he can still, physically dominate enough as long as he's sort of healed, mostly healed. But he looked last Basho like he just didn't know what he was doing. Knowing he had the injury, that's probably because everything was working wrong in his body. If that recovers, he'll be fine. If it doesn't, he's a risky pick. Myogiryu, C tier. Like Hokutofuji, he had a lot of matches last Basho against guys he should see again this Basho. But he went 9-6 last Basho, so that is even better for him. 10 wins, though, that's probably pushing it. So, Kachikoshi, yeah, absolutely can do it. Losing record, yeah, especially if he starts hot, he could get Ichi Yamamoto down to 7-8. But we'll see. He's a very C tier. He's a very C tier pick. Kotoeko, also C tier. Much like some of the guys we've just talked about, he has proven his ability to both win and lose at these ranks. So have fun. Tsurugisho, D tier. Yeah, he went 9-6. Yeah, he looked pretty good. But I'm calling this the Nishikigi effect. He got on a roll. He had some wins that were, frankly, stunning, even though they weren't necessarily against super high-level competition. But this is the same guy who lost to Ichi Yamamoto and Kageyaki on back-to-back days. This is too high for him. Like, yes, I know it's only Maegashira 11, and I realize the competition around him is all looking pretty average, but he's not gonna beat enough guys to get a winning record. 7 wins, maybe 6. If he gets 8 wins, I'm not gonna do a dare. I think it's not impossible, but no. D tier. I gotta put somebody in D tier, and Tsurugisho is the guy. Chiyoshoma, C tier. Boy, this is sounding like a refrain, right? He can win at this level, he can lose at this level. Whatever. He's doing okay. He's got 2 winning records in a row. If he gets up to single digits, I'll be more concerned. But right now, 50-50, he'll get a winning record. Wakatakakage, he's out. We are all very sad. Gonoyama, S tier. If you have any questions about whether this guy can walk out of Juryo into Makuuchi and beat everyone's ass into the turf, go watch his day 15 match from last Basho against Kitanowaka. He got fully caught by a Henka. Watch the spin move he pulls. And then Kitanowaka still has him on the ropes after that, and he survives again. Yeah, Kitanowaka is not Makuuchi level. I get that. But this dude is legit. He is going to bomb out on everyone around him. Expect it. 10 wins or I will be shocked. Kotoshoho, B injury risk. I mean, he was out of most, not most of the last Basho. He was out of a few fights, but like physically he was out of most of the Basho. Like he could not compete. He came back. Was it a good idea? Well, he's still in the division, so it seemed to work. He got 1 more win. What do we expect from this guy at Maegashira 13? Like, is he better than that? Probably. But now Gonoyama is right next to him. Now Hakuoho is there. He was never hyper ass beating competitive at this level until the one Basho where he got the Junyusho. So yeah, this is, he could get 10 wins. He's proven he could get 10 wins if he's healthy. I don't have a lot of hope for that. He's probably should be considered C tier, and if you don't trust his health, just stay away. Daishoho, D tier. No disrespect to the guy. I was amazed he went 8-7 in his first Makuuchi tournament. 6-9 last time. I don't think that's going to change. The competition has, if anything, gotten harder at this level. He might not drop all the way to Juryo yet. He's not going to have a winning record. I would be very, very surprised if he did. Shonannoumi, C tier. Why? I don't know. I don't know why I'm putting him in C tier. He's going in C tier because I don't know enough about him, and I have not seen him against Makuuchi guys, so I really don't know what to expect. No, I haven't seen Gonoyama really against Makuuchi guys, but the shit that he pulled last Basho, yeah, I trust. 14-1 at Juryo, yeah, dude, you're going to be okay. Shonannoumi, I really don't know. So I'm not going to assume he'll fail, but let's not assume anything at all. Ryuden, competitively, C tier. Only because of injury, but you know what? Maybe I should have him at B, injury risk, because he definitely wasn't right last Basho, and if you want to think that he's probably healthy, yeah, he could get 10 wins here, but I don't care. He's a piece of shit. Like, I'm not going to talk about it too much because his abuse stuff happened a few years ago, but I just came to the party. Like, I just found out about this, and I'm really disappointed that I've stuck up for him in the past. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I didn't know, but wow, he is a garbage human being. So only for professional standards do I not shove him in F. C tier competitively, get the hell out of here. Terunofuji, I keep thinking he's a D tier guy, and then he just keeps pulling it together enough to stay in the division. He's 15 West, which means if he's gonna stay in the division this time, he really can't do worse than 7-8. Is he gonna do it? I don't know, but I wouldn't count him out. I think he's got a really good chance of finding a way. And if he can get 7, he can get 8. C tier. Endo, definitely B tier injury risk. So he sprained both knees. How do you sprain both knees? Spraining one knee, sure. How do you sprain both knees? Was it one was bad and then he sprained the other? Did he do them both at the same time? Like, I'm blown away by that. If his knees have recovered, if he's actually reasonably healthy, he should smash out on this part of the bracket. But I have no idea. If he's still messed up, he could fall to pieces. So he's potentially a great choice and potentially a terrible one. Roll the dice. Bushozan, D tier. He had 5 wins his first time here, and the competition now is harder than it was then. He's not Makuuchi level. Sorry. Big Dan. Now, I really like to believe that when a guy is at the bottom of the division and he knows that this is for it all, like he's got to pull it together and find that winning record this Basho, or he's going to get demoted to Juryo, he can do it. Even if he's older and really injured, but man, last Basho looked so bad. And again, Gonoyama, Hakuoho, there are some dudes here who can put him out of his misery. I want to do C tier, but I think he's D tier. And finally, the Babby, Hakuoho. I'm calling him A tier. He showed a considerable amount of improvement from March to May. I'm actually making a video on it. Hopefully I'll get it done before the Basho starts. He's just physically dominant, even at 19. So, and I'll probably mention this in that video too. If you're familiar with American football, you might know this, but for everyone else, in the NFL, you can't join the draft unless you've been out of high school for 3 years. Now, there are some cynical reasons that are no doubt in play, but the stated reason is that They don't want guys coming into the league who have not physically matured. Sumo don't give a shit. Sumo don't care. It's still pretty rare, especially nowadays, that you see a 19-year-old who just hulks out on dudes. But that's what this guy does. That's what Hakuoho does. Gonoyama probably going to beat his ass, but everyone else around him, I think he can compete with every single guy who is near him on the Banzuke. Now, some of them should give him trouble. Ryuden, he's a piece of crap, but he is a smart fighter. If he's healthy enough, he can probably come up with a plan to beat Hakuoho. Terunofuji might just be stubborn. Like, by the sheer power of will, he won't leave the ring. Those kind of things can happen. But if you look around, everyone else near him is kind of a known quantity, and in some cases an injured quantity. This guy is young. He's healthy. I know about his shoulder, but his shoulder was taped up through the whole last Basho. He won 14 matches. Yeah, who's better than him except Gonoyama? So Gonoyama's above him in S tier. So Hakuoho really makes sense as the A tier pick. And that's going to do it for our Nagoya 2023 tier list. We got not that many S's and A's. If you go S, A, and B, and the A injury risk for those games where you need 13 guys, we've got 13 guys right there. Fantastic. Now, there's one game where you need 13 guys, I believe, who are only in Maegashira. You might have to dig a little bit further for that one. But this should carry you through most of your fantasy games. Did I get anything horribly, horribly wrong? Do you massively disagree with anything that I have here? Let me know. Hit the comments, like the video. I will see you soon with, hopefully, the Hakuoho video. See ya.